Constantly, we as a country look to other countries for many different things, whether it be support in a war or products. Hawaii for pineapples, China for pretty much everything. My name is Mary Abramson, and today I'll be discussing the cultural effects that Todd Anderson in the movie Outsourced experienced. And most of the ones he's experienced, I've experienced myself. So I felt a real connection to this movie. Firstly, the concept I'd like to speak about is psychological adjustment. This comes to mind when one has to acclimate themselves, change the way that they think psychologically to make their life easier and make the people around them lives easier. By definition, in page 36 in the book, it says that this is when one has to acclimate to new environments. Feelings of culture shock are very common. Maybe fear, anger, just very raw emotions at when you go somewhere you've never been before. Obviously it's a culture shock. You don't know what you're getting into, and that's what makes it so magical and memorable. So in Outsourced, at 5 minutes and 18 seconds, I believe, this was exemplified when Todd first got off the plane. He was bombarded by so many cab drivers, and he looks to his right and it says cool cab, and I just started cracking up because he was just so overwhelmed he couldn't even think, but he saw the word cool and he's like, oh, I know that word, and where I'm from, that word means this is okay, this is good, everyone wants this. And funnily, well, that's not even a word, hilariously, that wasn't even that guy's cab. He's like, oh, this is my cab over here. And so they jump in this little buggy. So he had to psychologically adjust himself, shut down, and just kind of look around instead of listen and just follow his gut. He probably would have just sat and asked each one that was surrounding him, oh, how much do you cost? But he just went with his gut. He went to the cool cab and he got out of that hectic situation. So the psychological adjustment really, it can be used anywhere. You may not even be aware of it when it's happening, but it definitely happens. Secondly, page 35 of our book in our text discusses self-concept. Self-concept refers to the way in which we see ourselves, or a person views the strength within themselves. This is also in the personality strength section on page 35. And in the movie, I believe it's 12 minutes and 40 seconds, he's approached by the man that he's supposed to train to replace him. And I started laughing because he's asking him all these questions, these slang words. What's kitsch mean? What's redneck? What's schmuck mean? And when you first get to a country, you think that you're going to just want to be quiet and no one's really going to want to talk to you so much because you want to be asking all the questions. But immediately this guy wanted to know what these slang words were, and I just thought that was awesome. And as Americans, we go into different countries kind of feeling a security, knowing our American embassy's there. I mean, personally, I can only speak for myself, but that's how I feel. And I felt when he started trying to connect with that guy who wanted to learn from him, not only how to speak like Americans do, but how to use the slang properly, I think he kind of realized okay, I'm learning, but they're learning too. And so his self-concept kind of altered there. And finally, I come to the last concept, and it is intercultural sensitivity. I hold this one pretty close to my heart because I feel like it is very, very important to myself and how I was raised to always respect other cultures. Yeah, on page 36, it simply states that all it takes for intercultural sensitivity is to acknowledge and respect that other culture. Don't just try and force who you are or how you want them to act onto them. And I believe everyone should really try and like remember that. And when you speak about other ethnicities and races, you just have to be careful with the words, because you don't really know what could be a trigger for someone within that culture. So for intercultural sensitivity, I decided to talk about the part of the movie because many Americans, we shake hands with our right hand and then we have our left hand like holding our phone or grabbing some French fries in the car while we're driving, or maybe smoking a cigarette, maybe waving, high-fiving on campus. But in India, this is very taboo. Me and my mom actually got to go to India, and I was asking this cab driver, like, why? And he said that back during, I mean, the class system pretty much still kind of exists, but the left hand was used to wipe the rear because toilet paper wasn't around. No one really had money. And the left hand is just looked at as dirty, as it says in the movie Outsourced at 14 and 50 seconds. Yes. Todd uses that hand to eat snacks in a home of a woman that allowed him to come in, showed him hospitality, and you can just see his face drop. He's like, okay. And then he like realizes, I should not be eating with this hand. I should not be doing anything with this left hand at all. And I thought it was great how he really didn't try and argue with them. Like, this is how I am. I'm American. Like, he was like, okay. And he kind of shook his head and he switched hands and he just kind of absorbed it. And I believe that is very, respectful and at the same time acknowledging that culture. So it basically is one of the best examples of intercultural sensitivity. Today I wanted to focus on the very beginning of the movie for personal reasons, because in my many travels, like I've from Kenya to Istanbul to Aruba to Greece, Bonaire, that first day or two, mostly day, when you get to that other country, everything is bright. You absorb everything. You're scared. You don't want to be too loud. You don't want to be too soft-spoken. You want to look like you're prideful, so maybe you won't get mugged. Or there's just so many things going on in your head that I just find it interesting to observe and watch someone else go through it. And because I'm not watching myself go through it, I'm in it, I'm there. So I just loved watching like the curiosity, the wonder, the kind of fear in Todd's face as he's driving in this cab, not really knowing where he's going. And I just really enjoyed this movie, and I hope all of you got a clear view of the concepts I tried to describe. Self-concept, psychological adjustment, and intercultural sensitivity are all demanding factors for a smooth or smoother stay in any foreign country you go to. My dad used to always say, in other countries, go with the current, don't go against the current. And I hope that serves you in any of your travels. And this is our last presentation. And before I transfer, and I want to say thank you to you all for listening and putting up with my overzealous comments sometimes, and I wish the best to everyone. Cheers!